Hey yo, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back. In today's video we're doing what if future Naruto trained Kid Naruto. Yeah, I won't have any distractions in this one, so it should not be a lot of pausing like I always do. Now you guys will be like, what pausing? Because I haven't uploaded. I mean, yeah, I don't upload. That's gonna be troublesome. But yes, let's get into it. I know you guys will be like, well, how will Kid Naruto, how will future Naruto train Kid Naruto? There was a time travel thing, and I know you guys have heard a lot of time travel stories, and you're tired of them. And I don't blame you, but you gotta listen to this one. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? You know Goku was saying? But yeah, let's get into it. I don't know how many parts it is, so I'm just gonna say this is part one, or if there will be any parts. So this is part one. Let's begin. So this all starts off with Naruto fighting Boruto in the future, and Naruto was sealed away in a dome. But Boruto, overestimating his powers, did something wrong. Well, Boroshiki, overestimating his powers, did something wrong and sealed Naruto in a time container. So it sent Naruto back in time. And when he was awakened, Naruto broke out of it. It was he found himself inside the Leaf Village a couple 5 years with the third Hokage still being Hokage. He's like, and Naruto's trying to figure out, oh my god, where am I? How am I here? The third Hokage is dead, right? So now Naruto is trying to figure this out, mind melding as a Shinobi run up to him and say, hey, what are you? As Naruto disappears and he's like, as he goes and says, notify the third Hokage, there's an intruder in the village. So Naruto's like, oh, I need to go see the old man if he's alive. So Naruto thinking, I wonder. I wonder what I'll do, since it looks like I'm stuck here and have no way back until that. But I think it's time to not dwell on my past anymore and make the future a better place. Naruto's thinking is as he can tell that he's in the past, he has no way back to the future. So now Naruto is making. Naruto is now telling what is his name, bro? What is his name? Is now telling Kurama, can he sense his his past self? Because I don't. Do the Debbies really? I mean, they age, but do they really? I don't know. I know they like go from baby to big form, but like, do they age after they reach their big forms or something? Like, but let's get back into it. So he's like, yeah, I can sense it. Says, oh, well, if we're in the past and I have all my knowledge of everything, we're gonna train my past self until he's the strongest shinobi. We do need to have some events happen so that he can, so everything can happen on track. But anything other than that, we will change. So Naruto's like, what? I wonder. He says he sees a random civilian walking by. He's like, who's that man? As another woman says, he's kind of cute. He says, what year is it? As she tells him the year, because I know, like, once we seen the expiration that says 2020, but I don't really know what year Naruto, like, what years it is. So He's just gonna say he's about 5. He's like, and so they tell him he asks how old is the demon, as he knows that that's what they call Naruto. As he says, as the computer in his mind is now left says, seems fun. It seems weird calling yourself a demon, doesn't it? It's Naruto and his one says yes, and they say, oh, he's 5. So I just like, oh, I'm this far. So he's like, okay, I can make do with this. So Naruto still has the seal key and everything. So now Naruto is now saying maybe I should go try and get a headband. Or maybe I'll attend the academy with my younger self. I'll probably have to de-age myself. As he then remembers, because I'm making all the movies canon. So Naruto remembers Memo with the black hair, and he goes, I guess I'll make myself look like this. As Naruto's a Hokage. So I don't even think a Hokage can sense whether Naruto's using the transformation or shadow clones into anymore. As Naruto's shadow clones are very durable compared to any other shadow clone. So Naruto makes a clone and enters and says, hey, and he goes to the third Hokage's office. So like, as he walks in and he goes up to the Hokage and says he remembers everything about it. He knocks on the door and the third Hokage says, come in. As he comes in, the third Hokage says, who are you, little one? And he says, I'm Mema. What's your last name? Uzumaki. He says, well, I came here to join my cousin. Cousin? What do you mean? As Naruto is referring to his younger self. As Naruto's like, fuck, I'm gonna cut the crap. He de-transforms and say, hey, old man. As the third Hokage says, who are you? As he calls his Anbu down the and Naruto, seeing them from the attack him, he knocks them out and says, look, old man, I'm just here to talk. He says, Orochimaru, is that you? He says, no. Man, it's me. Date Bayo. And he says, Naruto, how have you been? Wait, hold up, no. Did I just say how have you been? Who are you? And how do you know that it's me, old man? I'm from the future. He's like, what? He's like, yeah. And Naruto, he says, I don't think I'm supposed to reveal to anybody that I'm here. But if I am, I'm going to make things right. I'm going to tell them right away. So Naruto then asks, where's Jiraiya? As the Hokage says, I don't know who you think you are, but you are Naruto. As Naruto tells him something that only a Hokage would know. He says, Orochimaru was experimenting on children. It's like, that doesn't, says, so. And then Naruto pulls, as he remembers he has his cape on, and he turns around and says, what does this say? He says, that's the, he says, I told you, I'm from the future, I'm Naruto Uzumaki, so I want a DNA test. Now they do have blood tests and everything, so they can figure out who they are. As, he was in calls and a medic, a doctor, a medical ninja, and she does a blood test right in front of Heroes to make sure nothing is tampered with by this ninja. As this person, as she then tells him, what, Hokage, this is, he says, don't look at the results. Just stand up to me and be on your way. I will deal with whatever I need to. As he then says, so, you are Naruto. Do you want to Orochimaru's spirit? He says, no. Well, if you're in the future, what's one thing gonna happen? What's one thing that only a future Naruto version of Naruto will know? And Naruto says, My parents are the fourth Hokage and Kushina Uzumaki, which shocks the third Hokage, and he's like, oh. It's like, oh, so Naruto, how are you? It's like, I'm good. Stuck in the past, though. He's like, stuck. He's like, yeah. It's like, so what can I do? He says, I'm gonna de-transform into someone, but I have certain events. Certain events are going to be happening soon. So I'm gonna de-transform into a 6 year old. Well, I'm working on a Jutsu that de-ages myself, so that enemies wouldn't think to come after me and stuff in the future. He's like, oh, so the future. He's like, no, we're still at peace, but they're beings from outer space, people stronger than the Sage of Six Paths, fighting in my world. He's like, it's like, oh, okay. Wait, hold up. What? As Hebrews is like, it's Naruto explaining his Delta Suki, and Hebrews and shot. It's like, oh. He says, by using what they do, I can make myself younger. He says, to about the age of myself, but I want you to introduce Naruto. You introduce me, and just tell him that I'm his cousin Mima. From then my parents sent me here so that I wouldn't die. It says, well, Naruto, you know all the stipulations that's in there. Back, Naruto says yes, but those will now change, seeing as how I can re-age myself I can use all the jutsus that I learned now later, seeing as how I'm a Kage, the strongest maybe. It's just the strongest. There's no way. Hiruzen thinks this. He says, well, Naruto, before you de-age yourself, I want to test you. He says, is Jiraiya around? He says, oh, actually, yes, he's couple, well, no, not in the village, but he's a couple towns over. So I've gotten reports. He says, hold up, I'll be right back. As Naruto then blitzes off, as soon as he exits the villages, he enters his KCN1, and third Hokage's like, the Nine Tails is within that Naruto. I can feel it. He wants to learn to use some of his power. As Naruto is giving off as much energy in his KCM state, it's not saying that his KCM state is as weaker than his other state. He's just inputting. He's just lowering the amount of Nine Tails Chakra, so it's only like a One Tails version, but it's still fast. So Naruto speeds and he finds Jiraiya. He says, "Hey," taps him on the shoulder, grabs him and speeds him back to the third Hokage. Jiraiya says, hey, and she's like, oh man, what is this? Who are you? And Jiraiya's about to attack. The third Hokage says, stand down, Jiraiya. I'll explain that in a little bit, but this person is strong, and it's apparently something has happened with this person. I need you to fight him. He says, you know that's insane, right? He says, don't worry, Jiraiya. I think I can probably beat you. He's like, arrogant bastard. This is Jiraiya says. And with Jiraiya now saying this, he says, you know what? I will fight you. He says, good. Let's take this to the force of death. It says, Jiraiya, you need your sage mode. It's right like, Shadow's like, how does this kid know? His heroes and starts to laugh because he realizes that Naruto will eventually know about Jiraiya's sage mode. He's like, Jiraiya must have told him in the future. So with Jiraiya now wanting to fight Naruto, the third Hokage says, they go to the force of death with the third Hokage monitoring. He says, I put a bunch of tags to hide all the power that will eventually come from it. It's Suikage level. So now knowing all of this, Naruto says, fine, I won't go all out, Jiraiya. I use maybe a little bit of my power. So he powers up the KCN1. It's Jiraiya's like, that's the Nine Tails Chakra. Who's this? Right thing. Who's this? But it says, are you ready? Naruto says, you know what? No. He powers down and he goes, he sits there and silently. was like, "What do you?" Then something happens. He sees it. Naruto eyes are in stage mode. He says, "Who are you, kid?" Naruto says, "You will learn that soon. But for now, you are one obstacle in me changing everything to make it better. The entire world, changing this entire world to make it better." So Naruto will now is now how do I say this? Naruto is now fighting Jiraiya in the Sage Mode battle. Jiraiya can't is about to lose it. As Naruto says, "I guess I win." As Jiraiya's like, "What?" As Naruto hits him with the frog Kermit, the Kermit frog Kumite, something like that. I can't really remember the name. I haven't watched Naruto and so Shippuden in so long, so I can't really remember everything. So I don't really know. As Naruto hits him, what he says, I didn't really think I could. I'm a little bit rusty at you." And Jiraiya is now dumbfounded, Jiraiya is falling down. He's like, "New rusty." As he falls down and he passes, as he is now knocked out. Tobirama says, He says, "Fine. But will you retain all your power if you do?" He says, Naruto says, "Yes, I will. This is something. You guys will see this eventually." He says, "So will you ever tell your past self the truth?" Naruto says, "Yeah, when he becomes a Genin. I'll tell him everything." So Naruto will then say, "Alright, Lord, third Hokage, I put you right somewhere safer in this forest, but for now, let's go back to your office at the third Hokage, which is fine." So the third Hokage then goes and tells Naruto that he will allow him to do this mission and change everything to make the future better. And then he tells Naruto, he has Naruto's scroll. Says, "This is a scroll that your father left for you, but only I knew of its existence." He says, "I never got this scroll." Like, yeah, only I knew of it. And Naruto then says, "Well, thank you, old man. I really appreciate this." Says, "Learn some of those jutsus. But for now, I will enter you into the Lee village as Naruto's cousin. And tell everybody that me and Naruto split the Nine Tails at the time because we were visiting when the Nine Tails attack happened. My parents were visiting when the Nine Tails attack happened. And after the Nine Tails were sealed inside of me, my parents took me out of the village, so I wouldn't be shunned, but you took Naruto." He says, "I will tell the village this. Thank you." He says, "Thank you. You're welcome." He says, "Where is Naruto?" "Well, I believe he's out training." Yes, Naruto remembers. "Well, if I'm five, that means I've already saved Hinata then." And she says, "Well, there are a lot more girls that I did have a couple crushes on her, and I know what they turn out like in the future, so maybe. I wonder if Hinata will be okay with that." As Naruto then tells the third to enter him. Naruto then tells the third to enter him into the CRA, the Clan Restoration Act. And the third is like, "Are you sure?" He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "I know about it. I was Hokage, the seventh." He's like, "Who's the fifth and sixth?" Naruto says, "You will not believe it, but I'll tell you later. I gotta go find Naruto. Well, I gotta go find myself." So now Chief then says he's here. He's at blah 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 at place. He's at his house. I don't even know why I said blah 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 place. And Naruto says, okay. He says, I will also want me and Naruto to be named the clan heads of the Uzumaki clan in the Leaf Village. He said, are you sure about that? And he says, as Naruto says, yeah. I want that to happen as soon as possible. As Hokage says, I'll see what I can do. But we will have a council meeting sometime this week. Whether it's today, tomorrow, but this week we will have it. I will introduce you to as the new clan heads of the Uzumaki clan. That's good. I says, I'm gonna go off and find Naruto. He says, do you retain all your knowledge on everything? He says, yes. He says, well, take this. He says, well, make sure to teach, if you can make yourself stronger, teach Naruto the jutsus. Some of the jutsus that you know, since I know that since you know, he will be able to know. You know, so then he gets a whole bunch of voices in his head, and he's pulled in, and he's like, the rest, he says, Shukaku, Matatabi, Isabu, Sangoku, Chome, Saiken, I forgot, Kokuo, Yuki. And he says, you guys are still here. He's like, yeah, Naruto. What have you done? And Naruto says, I don't know, but whatever that Boroshiki dude did, the Momoshiki did while in Boruto's body, he must have messed up. Sorry, but I want to make sure that never happens. It's not. He says, all right. He says, you guys lend me some of your power. Naruto says, yes, I will. Yes, we will. It's just good. Stay here and keep Kurama some occupancy. And keep Kurama company. I'll change the scenery around up in here for a little bit. As he changed the sewer to a giant field, he's like, here. As he gets rid of as he no longer, his seal is no longer shut. So Naruto then says, well, goodbye guys, I have to go find younger me and train him to be as strong as possible. He's like, okay. So Naruto goes and he looks for Naruto. He asks people, have they seen a Naruto? As he had Naruto changed his hair color to black. So it was like kid Naruto himself with black hair. Like Mima. It looked like that Mima that when Obito and Mima merged together and make that one. Yeah, it's like that. So Naruto made his hair black, and he's like, have you seen Naruto? He said, yes, we just seen him. He was just at his house. He says, thank you. He said, what do you want with Naruto? He said, oh, I'm his cousin. He says, I'm an Uzumaki. I'm here to train him to become stronger. She said. As one of the villagers then throws a punch, and Naruto ducks. It says, what are you doing? He says, you will not train that demon to become stronger to destroy this village. And she says, he's not going to destroy the village. Naruto loves the village. But we don't care. As he punches Naruto says, I don't want to have to do this. As he then grabs the man's hand and shows him Kurama. And all the tail beasts looking down on him. He's like, as Naruto then has with all that fear, Naruto has put this man into a coma. It won't be for some years until Naruto wakes up. Till this man wakes up from the fear of seeing all tail beasts. So now knowing this, Naruto then knows where his younger self is. He remembers where his old house is, and he goes there. Knocks on the door, and Naruto answers, saying, "Hey, who are you? What do you want?" Naruto, he says, "Naruto." As he's playing the character, he hugs him and says, "Oh, I've missed you, Naruto. I haven't seen you since according to my parents, we haven't seen each other since we were babies." Naruto says, "What are you talking about?" He says, "Who are you?" Naruto says, "Oh," and the adult Naruto, or I'm going to refer to him as Mema until he reveals himself to Naruto. I'm going to refer to him as Mema the entire time, so that we don't have confusions on which one I'm talking about. Mama then says, "Oh, I'm Mema Uzumaki. I'm your cousin." He's like, "You're my cousin?" He says, "Yes." He says, "Awesome. I never knew I had family." And also then says, "I'm sorry about that. My parents left the village after the fourth Hokage sealed the nine-tailed fox inside of you and me." And he says, "What?" He says, "You know the nine-tailed fox story?" He says, "Yeah. The fourth Hokage sealed it inside of me and you, cousins, because we were both born around the same time. And our parents wanted us to become strong, and our parents had died. Well, your parents had died in the Nine Tails attack. So I don't really know I don't really know them, who they are. But my parents, they died recently and told me to come here and stay with you and train you, and we will and become stronger with you." Naruto then says, hugs him. He said, as he hugs Naruto, they're really the same height. And he's like, "I never had him. Thank you. I've never really had family." You says, "Well, Naruto, just think of me as your brother, big brother. I'm not too much older than you, but think of me as your big brother." And Naruto says, "Okay." And so, well, Naruto, the fourth Hokage, since the fourth Hokage had sealed the Nine Tails inside of you, he left you some jutsus to learn. See, since he trust everything to you. Naruto says, "Really?" He says, "Yes. But for now, me and you are gonna train in fighting." He says, "Okay." He says, "Well, first thing tomorrow, me and you will be leaving and going out to train." Naruto says, "Okay." So Naruto, they eat ramen. Naruto says, "Hey Naruto, I know you like ramen, but let's try something else tomorrow. Eat something healthier. Get your body right." As Naruto knew that he wasn't in the best of shape as a kid or like getting Naruto until he left out with Jiraiya. He wasn't getting as much ramen with Jiraiya as he was normally. So tells Naruto now tells him that he'll be back soon, but to make sure he goes to sleep. He says, "Okay." Kid Naruto says, "Okay." So Mema leaves and he goes to the third Hokage. He knocks on the window and the third Hokage says, "Oh my God, you scared me. I was just about to leave." Naruto says, "Well, I met him. I'm going to train. Me and him, we're going to start training tomorrow in Taijutsu and Chakra Control." I didn't tell him about the Chakra Control. I will teach him everything I know. He's like, "Oh." Naruto's like, "Oh." I mean, the third Hokage's like, "Oh, okay. Just let me know what field you will join again, and I'm going to tell everybody to stay away. I won't even." Naruto says, "Make sure you leave your Anbu away from this training." He's like, "Yes. I knew that you had Anbu follow me." And it's like Naruto says, "Wait, you know what? Let him stay." And he's like, "What? Why is the soda changed? You thought you wanted me?" He says, "Just let him stay. Let him come." Because Naruto knows one of the Anbu watching him was Kakashi. And Naruto says, "I have a surprise for that damn man." So now, he goes back to the house. He walks in and Naruto sees his younger self sleeping. He then sleeps. He sleeps on the floor. He wakes up at around 8 o'clock with younger Naruto. Younger Naruto was actually too excited and woke Naruto up and woke Mema up, and he's like, "Mema, let's go train." As Mema says, "Fine, Naruto. Let's go." I was actually yawning, but I guess that works too. Mema then says, "Alright, Naruto, this is where we're going." Naruto then feels the presence of the Abu watching him. Naruto. So I got a surprise of this man when we get back. So now Naruto then says, "Well, Naruto, today we're going to be learning Taijutsu and Swordsman. Well, Taijutsu and Chakra Control. Chakra Control, I don't even know how to use chakra. He says, I'll teach you. As Naruto remembers that the Nine Tails was constricting some of his chakra, so he couldn't really use it too well. So Naruto has a seal on his hand, and he says, Naruto, oh, open your shirt up, hold your shirt up, and keep it up. And it'll hurt a little. It'll hurt, but make sure you persevere through the pain as this is training. Because Naruto says it does it, and he says, okay. He says, Naruto, close your eyes. So Naruto has a seal on his hand because he's like, what is he? And Naruto then strikes Naruto with the seal, loosening some of the chakra so Naruto can use his chakra and the Nine Tails chakra a little bit. But he's pulled into the mindscape as he sees another Nine Tails. He's like, what are you doing, brat? He says, hey, Kurama. As Kurama is now shocked, he's like, how do you? Naruto says, not now. We will talk in 5 years. So just wait for that moment. But for now, share chakra with Naruto. Or I will have mine share it. And he's like, mine. And he sees another Kurama behind him. And she's like, what? It's not. Naruto then goes, oh, goodbye. He says, fine, I'll share some with the brat. He says, just make sure you contact me in 4 years. I'm not that. Make sure you contact me in 3 years. I'm not that patient to wait 5 years. You know, Mima says, fine. 3 years it is. But I will bring Naruto in here too. He says, aren't you? He says, no, I'm Mima. Oh, you seem very similar to Naruto. Says, thanks, we are family after all. Naruto leaves and Naruto thinks it's not that. So Naruto says, as Naruto is now sleeping, Naruto wakes him up and he says, are you okay? He says, yeah, but that hurt. But I'll persevere. I'll go through it just to get stronger. He says, Naruto, what is your dream? And Naruto says, to become Hokage and show the people that I am and to get people to acknowledge me. He says, well, Naruto, after this training, people will eventually acknowledge you. So Naruto teaches, and Naruto is now teaching, young Naruto how to, Mima is now teaching Naruto taijutsu and everything. Naruto gets, done Naruto now fights like, Boruto a little bit, like with the gentle fist and everything. And he knows that he can use wind chakra, so he does unlike the Boruto stream, except he calls it the Naruto whoosh. And Naruto has to say, he must really like that. He says, Naruto, I hope you know tomorrow we're going to the library and we're going to be studying. Naruto says, not studying. We don't start academy for another year. As Mimo says, academy. He says, aren't you going to be? No, Naruto, I'll see. Maybe I'll join you in this academy. Naruto says, okay. But he says, are we really going to have to go? And Naruto says, yes. But I will need permission slip. I'm going to go to the Hokage to get permission to enter the library. So, because I see how the people look at you. And I don't want any of them messing with you. He says, okay. So Naruto then, with the kid Naruto now knowing a little bit of fighting, he says, Naruto, we will spar every day until you can beat me. Because now Naruto doesn't really know his fighting style. Now Mima, as an adult Naruto, doesn't know this fighting style. Because now he's altered the timeline. So the timeline he's from and everything that happened before is completely, it happened. So it's kind of like a time loop and kind of not. You know what I mean? Like, he won't retain any new memories besides the ones that he can physically remember since he is physically there. He won't remember what Kid Naruto remembers. He won't remember everything Kid Naruto remembers. But yeah. So Naruto says, maybe I might let him win in like 5 weeks. Seeing how much, if he improves a lot. So Naruto then says, all right, what are we doing now? Naruto says, I'm gonna teach you the mold chakra. As Naruto then explains it for couple minutes, and Kid Naruto really interested in this, learns it, and starts to mold chakra. As he then Naruto then teaches him the Kage Bunshin technique. As Naruto then it takes Naruto 5 hours to get it. As Naruto says, guess it's Naruto, do you want to get some ramen? Naruto says, fine. Says, but this is just for lunch. But after lunch, we're gonna go and study. He says, fine. So Naruto then now that Naruto now knows it, Mima then on the way to Ibushiraku, Mima then explains to Naruto the secret to the Kage Bunshin, and Naruto understands it and gets it now. It's like, oh, that makes sense. Naruto says, yeah, it was one of our clans, some of our clan specialties. Well, as my mom told me. He says, well, can I meet your mom? And he says, Naruto, do you remember I told you she died not too long ago? I've been looking for you for a couple months. I didn't really know where you were. She didn't tell me what village you were in. As I've been hunted by other villages from as they sense that I had the nine tails in me. He's like, oh. And this Naruto has a full nine tails. But when Naruto shows the other nine tails, other nine tails only feels the yank half. So then the past Kurama doesn't say something to Kid Naruto. So now they at Ichiraku Ramen. They go into Ichiraku. Ichiraku says, "Hey Naruto, who's this?" And Naruto says, "This is my cousin. He's just like me, but he's my cousin." Ichiraku's like, just like him. What does Naruto mean? And Ichiraku says, "Well, since you're a cousin of Naruto," and Naruto says, "Not only that, but he's also training me to become a strong shinobi, maybe even Hokage." He's like, "Oh." Well, since you're training Naruto, he says, how about free ramen on the house for both of you? And Naruto, as they both screaming inside, yes! So, with Naruto now happy that he's getting free ramen, he then goes and says, alright Naruto, now we're going to study some jutsus. The third Hokage gave me a scroll, the fourth Hokage left us. As Naruto then sees the note, and he takes that note. It's a note that the fourth Hokage left just in case he died, or both him and Kushina died, explaining everything. So now he tells Naruto to read the scroll and everything. Naruto reads the scroll as Naruto holds the letter. So we're gonna time skip to them being 8. It's finally that day. Kurama says it's that day. This is gonna be so troublesome. As Naruto is now a good taijutsu. He's probably like the strongest taijutsu user now. Like, Chunin wise. He's like Naruto will probably be stronger than most Chunin. Low Jonin though. It's taijutsu. His ninjutsu's okay as he knows the Flying Raijin and the Rasengan. As he's been practicing these jutsus for years. Well, actually, for years. As he's done it. He knows how to creep walk, chakra control. He knows how to make up to 2,000 clones. All this. And Naruto says, alright Naruto, you know I've been teaching you to enter your mindscape? He says, yes. I'm gonna enter with you. Naruto then says, okay. He says, fine, alright Naruto, bump fists with me. As Naruto does, and then the Yang half and the Yin half see each other. And he's like, hello, other me. As QB inside Naruto then says, hey. He says, as QB then says, what are you doing? As Naruto tells him to go hang out with his QB, as this QB is not behind the cage. He tells him to go and play on his fur and not to listen to what they're talking about. It's not as Naruto then as this QB then tries to stab Mima, and the other QB grabs his his nails and pulls him and making him hit his head. He's like, listen. As the QB is like, my other half is so idiotic. He's always trusting humans. He says, fine, I'll listen. So Naruto tells him to put his ear up, and he has something to tell him. So Naruto then explains to the past Kurama that he's Naruto of the future. As Q says, "No way." As he then says, as he shows him the seal key, he says, "I'll unseal you, but you can just know me and my Kurama will always keep you in check, making you look like an ant compared to us." It's like, fine, I will. So now with this, Naruto then he didn't they exit the thing, and he tells Naruto the name of the QB. Naruto then tells him to address him like this every time and go talk to him every day and become friends with him. His kid Naruto is now 8-year-old Naruto says okay. So kid Naruto, 8-year-old Naruto is now taller. He's the same height as Mima. As he's like, Mima, we look a lot more alike every day. Like, yeah, I guess we do. So Naruto, then leaves and Naruto says, okay, Naruto, I'm gonna open the seal all the way. And Naruto says, will he hurt anybody? He says, no, me and my Narutos will keep him in check and make sure he doesn't hurt anybody. Naruto says, okay. So Mima does undoes the seal thing and unseals the Nine Tails. Fully undoes the seal. And he's pulled into the mosque and Minato says, Naruto, what are you doing? And she's shocked to see a grown man in front of him. He's like, who are you? And Naruto says, just look into my memories. And he says, I'll show you my memories. He says, just put your hand on my head. As Minato does this, he's like, oh. He says, just save your chakra for another time. So you and Naruto can meet him. So you and Kushina can meet him later. So, I love you, son. Naruto says, I love you too, Dad. So with this happened, Naruto, the QB draws, QB says, the QB's about to attack, but then he sees other tail beast. And he's like, no way, I can take them all on. He's like, damn. So now the QB says, oh, fine, I'll be in check, and I will give this kid my power. But he will have to train with me. He said, and Naruto says, fine, but I will oversee this training. So they're in the academy. Naruto actually dresses more like a young Minato. Like he wear, that all orange Boruto outfit 5, and Shinobi Striker. Naruto wears that. This whisker bars, and all the girls call him cool, but they really like Mima. But Hinata still likes Naruto. But she can't seem to get Sakura's attention. So Rook says, alright, y'all. It's the end of the year, so let's see who the rookie of the year is for now. So he says, fine. The 3 contestants, we will have a 3-way fight between Naruto, Mima, and Sasuke. And Sakura says, go Sasuke. And Sasuke, I believe Sasuke was 8 around the time the Uchiha massacre happened, I believe. Or 9 or 10. But I won't. This is cool, and this is good Sasuke. The one before that, so I won't make. That won't happen for a little bit. So Sasuke then serious as he knows he's fighting Mima. As he knows Mima has been the rookie of the year forever with Naruto in second. With Naruto and Mima are always passing. With Naruto always telling Mima the answers to all the quizzes and everything, and he tells Naruto to memorize these days before. Which kid Naruto does. And Mima then tells him to sit across from him, nowhere near each other. And this is fine. He says, until after the test. He says, okay. So Naruto always hits the books. He's smarter as he does study, but he does get help from Mima, who tells him all the answers anyway. But Naruto already reads the question since he sometimes he forgets which order the answers are in. So, because sometimes certain answers appear in other questions. So he actually does get 100%, not because of him Mima telling him, but because of he's actually smart in this one. He's not an idiot. Because he wants to impress his cousin to show him that he's grown strong. He's almost the same. He has something like he was Shikamaru at that time. His IQ steadily grows. So does Naruto's. And so does Mima's. As his IQ was already pretty high. So Iruka says begin as Sasuke then charges at Naruto. Naruto dodges and hits him. As Hinata's like, Naruto never ceases to amaze me with his gentle fist technique. But how does he learn that? Hinata says, I'll be sure that this time to ask my father how did Naruto learn it. Not that I want him in trouble. As Sasuke dodges him, Mima is almost hit, and Mima then grabs Sasuke, flips him out of the ring. And it's alright, Naruto, it's time for us to go. As Naruto then says, can I use that? He says, not yet, not until we're getting. He says, fine. So Naruto and Mima then both hatch a plan. Talking in their mindscape during the first punch when they both connected fists. It's like, alright Naruto, we're gonna both go out at the same time during the punch. Making us tie for the Rookie of the Year. Naruto says, fine. As him and Mima punches and they hit each other, knocking each other out, and they both land out of the ring at the same time. So, now, this is actually where I'm going to end it, guys. Peace and goodbye. How about that?